It's Wednesday. It's 8:30 and I'm on vacation. I am not working for Neptune Theatre right now. So off the leash tonight means I can say and do anything. At least I would be able to do that if I wasn't going to be surrounded by stage managers. The people that keep me in check. Before I was the AD of Neptune, and most definitely since. I hope you're well. Stage managers are an amazing breed of people. I kind of want to know. I want to come up with the name for a group of stage managers when they come together. It's been suggested. I think the popular one right now is a queue of stage managers, as in a lighting or sound queue or a fly queue. But I don't know. Maybe tonight we can come up with a better one and one that will stick. It's a murder of crows. I don't know. What do you think? Come up with some ideas. Let's bring our guests in. Yeah, we've brought together 5 of my favorite people. They are the people that make me look good and make it look like I know what I'm doing when I'm directing a show. They're the people that try and get me out of my office when rehearsal started 2 minutes before and I'm still trying to answer an email. I'll make a cup of tea. I'll grab a bourbon cookie. Anyway, let's bring them in and we'll have a chat about what it's like to be a stage manager at Neptune, and what a joy it must be to work with me on a daily basis. All right, let's bring them in. Christine Oakey, June Zink, Heather Lewis, Hannah Burrows, and Alison Crosby. We have a full house. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you all?
Hi.
It's great to see your faces.
It's so nice to be here.
It's actually, you know what? I just realized as I look at your faces straight on, I am so used to sitting next to you. Would you all mind doing the whole interview? Thank you. Alison, could you turn to the side, please? Alison, normally your head is buried in your hands. That's it. With a silent weeping gesture. There we go. I'm so used to seeing you sideways on. It's so funny seeing your whole faces. I didn't even know you had a right side. It's good to see you. Let's go around the room.
I think it's weird to see all of us without headsets on.
Actually, that's true. Mm-hmm. Although what I'm noticing right now is since the sun has started going down, Hannah Burrows is now in the dark, which is a stage manager's natural position.
Preferred place.
Otherwise, so let's go around the room and check in. How you're doing? Where are you? And when you tell me the first time you ordered takeout in this pandemic, what was it? And was it amazing? All right, Christine, you go first.
So I'm in Halifax, and I normally get takeout like several times a week because I work downtown at Neptune Theatre. We have long hours, and I managed to last a whole month, 4 weeks without getting takeout. I was very impressed. I was cooking through all of the things in the cupboard. And then Stillwell announced that they were doing curbside delivery, and I caved, and it was amazing. And I wept with happiness and joy.
Oh, damn. Good call. June, how are you? Where are you?
I'm good. I'm in Lower Sackville.
Yay.
I don't. The first thing I ordered was pizza from Pizzadelic, and it was excellent. I have no concept of time, so I have no idea how long into the quarantine it was, but it was,
you know it's July right now, right?
You know what? I believe you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit here and just.
It's true. Heather, hi.
Hi.
Are you across the bridge from us?
I am. I'm in Cole Harbor, in my basement. Yeah, doing all right. Hanging in. Home with my whole family.
Mm-hmm.
And my first takeout was 1 month into the quarantine, and we ordered from a little family restaurant in Cole Harbor called Palladium, and it was delicious. And I got a burger.
I've never been. I don't know that place. When I'm allowed to go, I will.
Right on Cole Harbor Road. It's a really nice little place.
Awesome. Hannah, I think what we're going to do right now is while somebody's telling a longer anecdote, I'm going to text Leanne Vardy. I'm going to text her house and sort this shit out. Come on. Oh
I just was living in the shadows here.
Lean forward.
Oh, yeah.
Where's the light? Find your light, honey. Okay.
Like in the darkness, Jeremy.
I know. I'm bringing you into the light.
Aw.
There we go. How are you? Where are you? And what was your first takeout? Do you remember?
I'm good. I am in Dartmouth, quarantining with my dog, who is very calm right now.
Your dog kind of looks like how probably most people watch this show.
That person usually watches the show. Every once in a while, she'll perk up and watch the screen, but usually it's the head down on the couch while I'm watching.
Yeah.
My first takeout was about a month in. It was pizza. The name of the place is escaping me. It's on Pleasant Street. It starts with A, and I just can't pull the name out right now, but it was delicious. Pizza and garlic fingers. Well worth it.
Alexandra's.
Yes, thank you.
I was going to say, is either Alessandro's, Alexander's,
Yeah.
Anthony's. There are three other things I was going to say, and I had to edit my off-color humor. It is my week off, so I still have to edit myself. Okay, I'm going to try really hard. Don't forget at any point, folks that are watching, and oh, look at that, the numbers growing. There are lots of people watching tonight. You've attracted a crowd. I don't know why, but you can ask a question. Allison, how are you?
I'm okay, other than the relentless teasing that has been happening for the last 1 minute. Here with you guys. What's that?
It's because we love you.
I don't know if that's true. But I'm in Halifax. We've only caved for takeout once so far.
What?
I know. It was Ronaldo's. It
Mm.
was really great.
Folks that are watching. What was that? I
So
heard an echo of my own voice from another episode. Already people have been suggesting what we should call a group of stage managers. Allison is going for the getting a good dressing room next time she's at Neptune card. Sarah Richardson is being very clever.
It's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Emily.
That's June's sister, right?
My sister, Emily Billy.
I don't know whether I feel comfortable saying welcome tonight where we have a desire of stage managers. It doesn't feel right coming from, I don't know. I mean, anyway, whatever. A call of stage managers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a call of the wild. Yeah, this is nice. A joking call stage management shepherding cats, so a shepherd of stage managers. Cool. Apparently, Andrew Chandler is loving you. All right, let's start with this question. I was going to ask you a question myself first, but as people are actually asking you questions, let's here's a question. What's the weirdest thing for Allison? What was it like having Jeremy play a director while acting in a show? Oh yeah, that's true, I did. But let's go with the first part of that question because it's more generalized. What's the weirdest thing I have asked of you, or of a production, I guess, that you were in? Anyone want to jump in there? I think Allison's got a story.
Allison's got an answer.
Yeah.
You might have the ultimate answer, actually.
She couldn't talk about it for so long.
No, you want to
Yeah. I had to fly in a show, which was unexpected and the most fun thing ever. So that's up there. And having Jeremy pretend to be a director while acting in a show, the only thing I remember about that is having to crawl out of a shower with Anna for a scene transition. We had to like crawl behind the set, and then the lights would go into transition light, and then we would come out of the shower. And you would yell at us, Jeremy, to like change the set, and then we would run around and change the set. But I remember being like cuddled up with Anna behind this shower curtain, waiting for the lights to go down.
Oh, what? Okay. Like, there's
What
a
show was
shower?
it?
I was in a shower? What was it?
No, me and Anna.
Was it Stage Kiss?
It was Stage Kiss.
Right. Okay. And I played a director of a play within the play, but I was backstage shouting at you to change the scenery as a joke, right?
You were on stage.
Oh, yes. I was playing a director telling you what to do. Playing you the on-stage visible ASM. What to do. Okay. You mentioned the flying thing. We've actually got a little video. We might as well, as we're going to talk about it now. What we did, folks, is I needed to have a moment where a member of the audience was brought on stage during Peter Pan to learn how to fly. Now, apparently, I'm not allowed to bring a random member of the audience on stage, hook them into a harness, and have them zip around the stage, because apparently insurance. And also, the harness had to be made to fit a certain individual. We couldn't have any actors do it because the actors would be too recognizable from the show. So I thought, why don't we get Alison Crosby to get fitted for a harness, and then every single night she came to the front of house and pretended to be an audience member volunteering. And I don't know whether this is the first time you flew, but it's certainly one of the more entertaining ones. The idea is that the backstage crew get it wrong and nearly kill her. But this is rehearsed and planned. Well, planned in the process of being rehearsed. Yeah,
it was rehearsed.
It was talked about. It was discussed. It was discussed over a gin and tonic. Here we go. Now, what I love, the only people in that room are other stage managers, crew, and production staff. And we're all so concerned for your safety. No one's laughing at all. It was great. You did such a good thing with that. Thank you for doing that.
It was very funny.
Was it fun though? Was it actually fun in the end, or did it?
It was so much fun. Like, especially like having such a long run. It was really weird when it ended. Like when I started having days where I didn't fly, that's what started to be weird to me.
Oh, Garrett. Oh, look at this. Helena Marriott misses you all.
Miss you, Helena.
And this is actually a good question. So that show ran for, I don't know how many performances. I wonder whether you get an award for the most appearances of a stage manager in a show. But I guess other stage managers must have appeared in shows visibly. But you were certainly one of the most visible that I've seen in recent times, as in participating.
Alison gets the award because she gets to count both Cinderella and Peter Pan.
Oh, right.
So like 100% of her stage management work at Neptune, she's been on stage.
Has included on stage time.
Yeah.
I know.
She's also been on this show before today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's almost like she's popular.
But and yet
It's almost like Jeremy likes you.
I like you all equally.
Sure you do.
All right, let's get down to it. As a stage manager, I'll tell you what, Heather, you start us off and the others can interject.
All right.
What the hell does a stage manager do? What's that all about?
All right. So the elevator pitch of what a stage manager does.
Yeah, and I'll see if I can put a few pictures up while you're talking.
All right. We manage all of the information as it comes in from before rehearsals start, right through the process of rehearsing, through all of the tech period, help get it together and put it on stage to maintain the director's vision, say yes as often as we can, apologize when we have to say no, make sure actors get on stage wearing the right costumes and carrying the right props.
Wow.
I've been asked that question before.
Yeah,
appropriately fueled by caffeine.
Yeah, fueled by caffeine at the least. Great, that's good. So what would you say, Christine, is the toughest part of that job in all of your experience? I mean, you and I have worked together a number of times over the decades.
It's true. It's true. I was counting, and of the 8 shows that I've done at Neptune, 6 of them have been with you.
Really?
Yep.
Well done.
And we worked together twice outside of Neptune.
Right.
So,
yeah. Cool.
For me, the hardest day is actually the first day of rehearsal. I get so nervous about having to talk to everybody and trying to remember everyone's name, because there's inevitably a few people that you don't know, hopefully a few people that you don't know yet.
Yeah.
So for me, that is personally the hardest, is the first day of rehearsal.
And look at these babies.
That's 2007, when Heather Lewis and I were both ASMing Oliver, which you were in, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah, I was in that, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there isn't a picture of me in that show, luckily. Here's a lovely picture.
Of a first day.
Hannah, tell me what this is. What does this mean? It's a bunch of tables in a room, but what does this say to you is about to happen?
It says that it's very clean because no actors have arrived yet. And it's on the first day of rehearsal. So everyone's going to come in, sit around the table, have our meet and greet with the entire company, read through the script. Generally, the designers that are in town will do a design presentation. The director will talk about the show, and then we move all of that stuff and we jump right into it.
Amazing. And one of the best things about the first day of rehearsal that I love is that on the first day, folks, some kind soul usually brings in treats. Who does that? Is that actually you, or is the theater? Am I paying for that, or is there a budget for that?
Yes,
was there a budget until I just mentioned it out loud?
Yes.
Amazing. There's always a little treat table in the corner.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone bakes.
Yes. Lisa Bugden always augments the treat table, I've noticed.
She does. That Lisa Bugden does.
Our general manager.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wish I had a picture of the treat table. I miss it right now.
Well, should we talk about the extended treat table that was part of Calendar Girls?
Oh, yes. Do tell us about that. I wish I had some pictures. What was that? What happened there?
So I know not as many people saw Calendar Girls because that was the show that closed on March 13th in the middle of our run. But very early in our rehearsal, like possibly within the first few days, there's reference in the script to a Victoria sponge, and Jeremy, like a good director, wanted to make sure we all knew what a Victoria sponge cake was, and asked if someone could provide said cake. And the beautiful, talented Francine de Shepper said that she would, in fact, make a Victoria sponge, but it had to be after the day off. So we had to wait until Tuesday for the cake. And as I remember it, and Alison was part of this project, so she can jump in and correct me, there were several emails about other people who would also make cakes and how fun would it be if we had lots of cakes. And then Genevieve Steele sent an apologetic email that was like, friends, as amazing as it would be to have a whole bunch of cakes tomorrow, wouldn't it be more amazing if we had a cake a day for the rest of the week? Which turned into a cake a day for over 2 weeks. Yeah.
Even I made something.
You did? You made a glorious trifle.
Yeah, 2 actually. 2 trifles.
There was a lot of people to feed in that company.
Yeah, so that's one of the joyful things. Let's start to talk about horror stories, things that go wrong, things that that fall off, when things go off the rails. In fact, Garrett Barker really wants to get into this. So that's a good thing to start talking about for the next few minutes. Has anyone got a story where something went horribly wrong that you can talk about, and you don't have to mention names, but names are great? I mean, what?
When we funny wrong.
What?
Go ahead, June.
No, I think it was Wonderful Life, The Revolve, Bro.
Oh, I put.
Oh,
Oh no.
We already
What? That's how broken it was.
All right, fine.
No.
Because
Sorry,
we're
June,
talking about past artistic directors. I get it.
I went to hit the button to give you a close up, and my finger slipped onto the remove from live stream button.
Yeah, I see how you roll it.
Okay, here you go. Here's the close up.
So yeah, so the Revolve broke. I think it was like straight on, so like the audience could see to the back wall, and we could not get it fixed. So we ended up bringing Heather brought in the scrim and the screen drop, and they finished the act downstage right along the edge of the.
Wow.
And I had to go out and tell the audience that we were stopping and to be patient with us twice, I think, for that show.
Show.
It was on to that show? Yeah, it was. And then we were backstage for 20 minutes, something like that.
The second time it happened, it was through intermission. It was just before intermission.
Yeah.
And the wall was falling over, and David Light was holding the whole thing up by himself with his back while standing with his hands in his pockets.
Plus, there were 2 crew members backstageholding
trying to keep it back.
Of course, David Light was standing there.
Yeah. Just casually, just casually.
I'm just holding up the show. I'll be fine. Let me do some mid-air splits while I do it.
Right.
Has anyone else got a horror story? Our actor's a pain in the butt. You can tell me now. I'm not an actor anymore. Our actors' pains. Just tell the truth. No one's watching.
It's always a bad egg once in a while, but no, actors are fun.
I mean, there is that.
So
there is that old adage of children and animals, which changes everything.
Is it true?
Yeah. I did a show, not at Neptune, obviously, but at the Blythe Festival, we had a pig in the show 2 summers ago. And on opening night, he escaped from his pen, which was around the corner at the shop. And Daniel Olton, who is a stage manager who frequently works at Neptune as well, had to wrestle the pig to the ground on the main street of Blythe and attach his harness and leash and walk him back to the theater in time for the half-hour call.
Oh my goodness. Hannah, I want to ask you a question. I want to just bring up a picture here. I'm just going to try and find it. I want you to explain this to me.
I was doing what every stage manager who has ever worked with you has wanted to do, Jeremy.
Oh my God. Wow. You go a little dark.
I can't remember exactly what instigated that photo. It was Valley Summer Theater, and I'll be back before midnight. That was one of your props. And yeah, like it was definitely staged, but
but there's a certain I think you're looking at the director saying, "Shall I?" and
it was a very dull blade, everybody. It was a very dull blade.
It was a very dull blade. I had to fight in the dark with it every night, wearing a mask with a shotgun and a couch.
You did very well.
Yeah,
you had to fall over that couch.
I know. Has anyone ever had an actor do something as dramatic as fall off the stage, or has anything gone wrong in that kind of way?
I've had a dog fall off a stage. No, I was there. That. You were there.
Yeah, I know. I was there. What was that?
Oh, during Wizard of Oz, we had sweet little Butch as our Toto, and Dorothy's on stage. Toto has to run through what we used to have as the Juliet doors, the kind of on an angle on the sides of the theater, those doors. And he would just run out and stop. And then Blair Irwin was Dorothy, and she would call him, and he would come running to her. But this time he came through the door at a bit of a trot and kept going off the edge of the stage and landed in the house. And Blair, like, desperately, as Dorothy tried to get an audience member to pass her the dog, and no one would touch the dog. So she then jumped off the stage, went out into the audience, picked up Butch, carried him, rolled herself back on the stage because it's like 4 feet up in her little Dorothy dress with the dog in her arms, and then came off stage. Matt McGinnis was the other stage manager and the owner of Butch, and he was having a heart attack, and Butch was absolutely fine, totally fine. Moral of that story. But that's the only time I think I've had an actor fall off the stage, and I think maybe we had someone skateboard off a stage during High School Musical, but I don't fully remember that. I'm sure he was fine.
And was maybe intentional skateboarding off the stage?
They probably deserved it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I remember Butch, the dog, after that became less and less interested in acting and would just eat the peanut butter that was smeared all over me and everywhere around me as the wizard, and then sit there going, no way. Likewise with the dog in Shakespeare in Love a couple of years ago.
Oh, which Stu was on that show.
Yeah, remember that dog?
I remember that dog.
Beautiful.
Remember when it ate its treat and then wanted to show us the treat again? And
I wondered how you were going to say
Simon
that.
Henderson and Josh McDonald both broke. They both just turned up stage laughing. We're in the wings laughing hysterically because there's this dog just like, and then eats it again. I don't remember. It was too funny.
That's the grossest thing I've ever heard, but I love the story. Alison, tell me about the division of labor between stage managers, because only on the smallest shows do we get away with hiring just one of you. Often there are 2 or 3. So if there are 3 of you, how does that work? What's the division of labor there?
Yeah, I guess Neptune was my first time where I had a stage manager and 2 ASMs. So usually one person gets designated to props, and they're more concerned about the prop side of things. And then one usually gets designated to wardrobe. It's usually me. And they worry about what people are wearing at any given moment. And, you know, the stage manager worries about where people are in the scene. Props ASM worries about where the props are in the scene. And wardrobe worries about what's happening with what they're wearing.
And does that continue on during the run of the show as well? Or does it become more about your own track after that?
Yeah, it really depends a little bit on which theater you're working at. At Neptune, I know things tend to meld a little bit more. Like one ASM tends to gravitate towards stage right. It's usually me. And one ASM usually gravitates towards stage left. And then you kind of worry about which props are on each side and which wardrobe pieces need to be on each side. Yeah, but it kind of depends on the theater and depends on the stage managers, and it's always a conversation.
And when you say gravitate, I mean, do you have a favorite side that you like to be on? Is there like a hierarchy to stage left or stage right? Because I know stage right has the flies, and that's where Thomas hangs out, so that's cool. But stage left has more space.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas
Slash
is stage
more
right.
stuff. Like there's usually more stuff on stage
Yeah.
left because there is more space.
How does that work?
Thomas and I usually call stage right for the cool kids because being I think the newest ASM here at Neptune, I know the newest ASM here at Neptune, come on. I usually get stuck stage right where there's no room for anything, but despite that, there's always giant set pieces back there. But yeah, Thomas and I are usually back there sitting on the fly rail, calling ourselves the cool kids.
Nice.
It usually works out that the props ASM goes to the side that has the most action, which is generally stage left.
Really?
I think one exception to that is Mamma Mia. There was so much stuff coming through stage right in that tiny little corridor that I was the props ASM on that show. So I was on stage right to just traffic direct all of that fun stuff.
In rehearsal then, all of you, when you're watching use me as an example, because let's not be mean to other directors, but as the director's sitting there making this shit up as he's going along, excuse my French, or totally planned, and you...
Some of column A, some of column B.
Adapting, developing, creating. Do you find yourself sitting there going, Jeremy, you idiot. you got that coming on stage right, that's never going to work. Or do you find yourself communicating stuff like that, or do you have to sit on your tongue quite a bit? Heather Lewis wants to answer that one.
Do you remember the mailbox?
Oh. No? What mailbox?
What mailbox?
Mamma Mia.
Yes.
There was a little mailbox.
Mm-hmm.
It was very small, and it fit really well on stage left, and it never saw stage left.
Nope.
No, it was a giant mailbox bench doodad that required 6 people to move and came on and off stage right multiple times in the show.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
It wasn't I didn't know it needed 6 people when I was directing the show, to be fair. Unless I was told and I didn't listen.
It's just that it then got heavier and heavier to be reinforced with the dancing and the jumping and the things, which is part
and
of
then
the
wasn't
job.
something added on top so that it didn't fit through the door?
Oh, yeah.
Come off?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was designed too big to fit through the doors that get it backstage. So it had to be disassembled each time it came through because it couldn't stay anywhere. Right? Am I remembering this correctly?
You are correct. Yeah.
And I don't think it was ever intended to need that many people to move it, but it had to be heavy enough to be strong enough for all the dancing that had to happen on it because it took up a huge amount of floor space with a lot of dancers. So yeah, I'm not defending myself or anyone else. I'm just saying, oh yeah, I should pay attention to that.
I was just
Which
remembering
was
it properly.
the fountain in Beauty and the Beast, which is only used in that opening sequence. So, it's like 3 minutes long in that town sequence. And it couldn't go anywhere. So had to stay stage left for the whole time. And several times we had to move it to make space for Belle's Cottage and parts of the castle and all of the...
This is the stuff that, of course, the audience will never know about except tonight. They'll never see, hopefully. They'll never understand what goes on back there for the crew and the stage management team and even the actors as well, because they're having to exist in that small amount of space because it is tiny back there. But it can be kind of... What's the strange... Have you got a strange... Something... When I say strange, I guess I mean like something really weird happened or... funny or quirky or once in a lifetime. Anything bizarro happen? Alison Crosby.
I'll set the scene for you. I was sitting in the stage management office one day. This is probably the strangest once in a lifetime I've ever gotten. But I was sitting and I was prepping Calendar Girls because Oakey and I were working on Calendar Girls. And Heather Lewis came into the office and said, do you want to come down to the stage? Because she was working on a show called The Last 5 Years. And I went downstairs thinking that I was going to help poor June, who was injured, move furniture. And what happened was June was gone. It was the half-hour call. And I was going to run The Last 5 Years by myself.
I feel like I need to just kind of jump in and say I was in a car accident.
Oh, yeah, injured.
I wasn't injured, and Oakey took me to the hospital.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
This story involves 4 of the 5 of us.
You were not absent without leave, without reason, but nonetheless, the show must go on. I'm guessing at that point there was a decision made to fill the hole that you left.
Mm-hmm. And the thing with June is June's very strong. There were a lot of heavy things in that show. And like, if you can imagine me trying to navigate, like June, you can imagine this giant bar unit that's stage right and there's no room. And I know that it has to fully turn and get on stage. And I'm like asking the dresser if she knows how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just find a question here. I think I saw a question from somebody else. While I'm looking, anyone want to tell a horror story about me?
Oh, can I? It's not a horror story about you, but it's something you made us do, and noise is off. You made us get rid of the second intermission, which Heather was stage managing. I was backstage for this one. And before you decided to cut the second intermission, that transition, so like when we had to change everything, reset props, and if you know the show, it's a lot of props.
A lot.
It was taking about 15 to 17 minutes, and it was just Thomas and I, and I believe Joe or Andrew came down to help move walls and everything. But you're like, what if we just didn't have it? And I've never wanted to sit down and cry more during Tech Week than that moment. But we did it with the help of 6 actors. and then Tom, what?
Well, Jeremy has showed that video on this program, and it's beautiful.
Oh, it's so cool.
Oh yeah, that first intermission is, that's great.
Yeah, the transitions in that show were, well, yeah. The show is designed to have 2 intermissions. It's written that way because the giant set has to revolve, and you see the other side, and all the props have to get set. But because the show was running long, and it's just and audiences are getting less and less, I think, used to, well, they're certainly not used to a 3-act structure.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And it became really apparent that they would leave at the second intermission because you've had a good setup act, then a funny act. And to be honest, if you left before the third act of Noises Off, you would miss out on a whole load of comedy, but you wouldn't actually miss anything of your life. You know, you're not gonna, there's a development. So we thought, yes, you're right. And so we found ways to, I think we even had people from the booth running down to help with that transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Thomas was flying in walls and flying out walls and putting in doors. And
That, you know, I'll take that. That's I don't feel too bad about that. I feel bad.
I'm a mentor.
I need one of those.
Don't you have a box of those in your office?
No, they're in Edmonton because then I went to Edmonton at the beginning of this year, and that show was actually canceled by the pandemic. I had 2 shows canceled on the same day by the pandemic. But that show was playing, and that box of sardines that I wanted on my office wall is still in Edmonton. I don't know whether it's even been taken down. We've got a few messages coming in. Let's just have a look here. Thomas is talking about you being cool.
The cool kids.
True.
Stu wrote an essay.
There you go. See, Stu had his own show the other day, so now he just wants to talk and chat to me every day. Stu, I actually walked past your house today, and I nearly called up at the window and enacted Romeo and Juliet with you, but I then got there were too many people around, so I got scared. Alison, she's right. Here's a lovely question. What made you want to become a stage manager? June?
Oh, dang.
Maybe you didn't.
Well, it was a weird convergence of circumstances. I actually didn't do theater school. I'd moved home after graduating from MUN and fell into Neptune used to do a pre-professional program for actors or kids going on to do school. And I did it. Very quickly realized acting is not for me. But I really enjoyed stage management. And Jane Creaser at the time was, I forget what show she was doing, but she sat and talked me through what she does and what's expected and all that stuff. And it just clicked.
Yeah. Anyone else interested? Did any of you study stage management?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heather and I both did. Yeah.
At Dal or somewhere else?
No, I did go to King's, and like many theater people, thought that the only outlet in theater was on stage, and auditioned, and there were no parts for first year folk. Right. So I agreed to help work on a production, and essentially fell into stage management because the director who I worked with wanted me to be their stage manager on the next show. And then all 4 years doing King's Theatrical Society stuff in the good old pit over there. And partway through that time, I decided this was really amazing and applied to National Theatre School in Montreal and got in. So after I did my BA, I went to NTS in Montreal, which at the time was a 2-year program which was perfect. And after that, I got offered a job at the Blythe Festival and have been working ever since as stage manager, which is pretty great.
Cool.
Very lucky.
I'm going to ask you all a question that I'm going to come back to, and I'm going to give you a chance to think about it. I'd like you to come up with, because we don't tell our guests the questions beforehand. All of these stage management people asked if they could prep for this interview because stage management like to prep, and I said no prep. Tape a floor if you want to prep. But the question you got notes? Have you got notes there, Heather Lewis? Oh my God.
Ask the question.
The question is,
ask the question, and then Heather
I'd like
can
you all to tell me the fondest, most life-changing or emotive moment at Neptune Theatre over your career as a stage manager at Neptune. So just mull that over. In the meantime, I just want to get back to Heather Lewis. Let's all take a look at this photo and see if we can spot Heather Lewis when she was...
Ooh, I know what's coming.
coming. Now, it's a little small because it's a photo of a photo, but there's a cop. Yeah. They're both in that photo. And there's a cop played by a certain British man doing a bad New York accent. But yeah, there you are next to a very young hirsute Marty Burt. Bill Kahn.
Is that Blood Brothers?
It's actually Rumors.
Rumors.
1998. Tell us what was going on in your life then, Heather Lewis.
I am giving Marty Burt some hard eyes in that picture.
What you're smiling though?
I was very young and very new. I had just done 98. I had just done Peter Pan on the main stage, but with the Waipico was pretty cool. And that was my first foray into stage management at all. I'd been a member of the Waipico as a performer the year before and knew I didn't want to pursue it. It was also my first year of university. I did 1 year at Dalhousie and I was stage managing Peter Pan and working part-time. And I didn't feel that Dal had what I wanted. So I only did the 1 year. And that spring while I was working on Peter Pan, Robin Krillman was the production manager at Neptune, and he took me under his wing during Peter Pan. It was amazing. My favorite Robin Krillman moment is me walking down the hall after probably our third show, and he just leans back in his chair at his desk, calls me back to the door and says, "Has anyone talked to you about show reports?" Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I was 18. I was like, nope. And so he would tell me what I was doing because I had no idea what I was doing. And it was lovely. And then that summer, they were doing Blood Brothers and Rumors in Rep, I believe.
Yes, we were.
And so there was like a double tech week and to get one show up and then get the next show up. And the stage management team just needed some extra hands. And so they brought me in as a stage management PA. And I photocopied things and made coffee. I don't know. I hung out starstruck in the house mostly is what I did and found my way around Neptune Theatre. I met Jeremy Webb and Raquel Duffy, Marty Burt, as we saw, Bill Carr, I think.
Yeah, Martha Irving was in there.
Charlotte.
Charlotte Moore is right in the middle there. The late great Frank McKay on the left of the picture.
Oh my God, Blood Brothers.
Also like Scott Miller and Judy Joe.
Yeah.
Yes, look, MJ and
Alison Sperrin.
See all of these faces.
Yeah, Alison Sperrin is right behind Marcia Cash.
Oh yeah, I can see her.
Charlie Culver on the
Tim
stairs.
Hurdle was the stage manager. Alison Peters was ASM. There she is. Marcia directed Rumors. Is that right? Did you direct both?
No, Linda Moore directed Blood Brothers. Name a stage manager from the past or from the current, I guess, because stage managers, they go on forever. They've got you've all got yeah, right. Well, yeah. Let's hope we all get back and yeah. But you've all got portraits of something in your attic. But name an influential stage manager to you, someone that has mentored you, assisted you, guided you, or it just means something to you.
Can I name 3?
Yeah, go. Yeah, everyone's gonna get a go. So we're gonna go quickly around the room. Heather Lewis.
Okay. Jane Creaser.
Yes.
Mm.
Well done.
Do I? No, I actually did have 2 more. I thought we had to come back to me.
Oh no. Name all 3. Name all 3 then.
Laurie Champagne and Judy Farthing.
Okay. Hannah.
For me, Jane Creaser and Heather Lewis.
Oh. Christine.
Michael Wallace was the apprentice stage manager on Romeo and Juliet on the Neptune stage in the late 90s, and he was a Kingsdale student. And I remember, this answers your earlier question too, I remember reading the program and seeing that he was going to the school where I was going to school, and he was getting paid to do what I wanted to do, which is what made me realize that this was a thing, like a real thing that you could really do forever. And my third year at the Blythe Festival, second year, he was my stage manager and I was his assistant. And so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Alison?
This is going to sound like I'm being the worst, but it's genuinely, genuinely true. It's Oakey, Heather, Hannah, and June. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, that's good. You realize that the 1 or 2 stage managers that you've worked with, you just didn't mention, and now watching this going, what the? June, what about you? It's okay.
Alison, please don't be offended. But definitely Oakey. Oakey was the apprentice mentor for Equity when I started.
Yeah.
And I remember flooding her emails constantly because I had no idea where it worked. I remember I remember when I wanted to work on Broadway on Argyle Street, and I remember texting Oakey, and I'm just like, so I want to work on the show. Do I just email Jeremy Webb and say, I'd like to work on your show, please? And I did, and I got the job, and here we are.
Yeah.
Heather Lewis. I don't think there's anybody quite like Heather Lewis who is like cool under fire, helps anybody who ever has any questions, and she's just awesome. And Hannah Burrows had to put up with me for my first ever stage management anything.
Yeah.
And was I'll be back before midnight. And she's had to put up with me for quite a few shows since then.
Who did I miss? Did I miss anyone?
No,
We have an answer.
I got everyone. Okay, good.
you haven't answered.
You haven't. Hello.
Stage managers?
Yeah.
I'm the only one
You
who
know what? I got 2. One.
fix that.
No. I actually do love working with you all. I have to say that the stage manager that scared me and did not appreciate my style of work the most, all say it at the same time and tell me if you can tell me who it is. 1, 2, 3.
Jane Creaser.
I love Jane, and I enjoy Jane, and we get on very well, except when I'm on stage. I think she probably.
Why?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I've heard a rumor that occasionally I like to stretch a scene or build a moment. I don't know that that's true.
If it ain't for real.
But I do respect her so much for keeping a show in control. It's just I don't want to be controlled when I'm on stage. That's why I'm not on stage anymore. But you know, I'm now like in a different position, and it's all about not doing that stuff anymore.
I will say, I love this about you, is that you allow your actors to play and stretch.
Yes.
In certain moments. You give them their moments. You let them stretch. You look at your stage manager and say, they're allowed here.
Oh, yeah.
This long. You give a bit of a parameter, but you let them play, and I think that's wonderful.
It's true. Tammy Faulkner, I don't know whether you're watching this. Tammy stage managed Beauty and the Beast the last time Neptune did it. And there was a moment where who else was on that show?
June.
June was on that show.
And me.
All right. Forgive me for not remembering. It's all a blur.
Wildly, it's fine. Okay.
But there was a moment that I was stretching way too much. There was one line of text, and I kept stretching it and milking it to get laughs. And in the end, I remember being at the bitter end with everyone one night, a Sunday night after the show had been running for a few weeks, and I sat down next to Tammy. I said, "Tammy, you're stage manager. I got to ask you a question. Even I know that I'm going too far. Like that moment is like, it's nuts. What are my parameters? Why aren't you stopping me?" And she said, "Well, it makes the audience laugh. It's funny. It's within the confines of the show. It's the same bit. If it lasts more than 1 minute, then it's out." And I said, "Okay." So then I went home and I practiced counting up to 59 in my head whilst doing the bits that I was making up on the spot, so that I could always, and then I would come off stage, and I don't know whether it was one of you two, but you would tell me how many seconds I was, because you were timing me, because the moment I went to a minute, that bit was cut. This is a video that I actually, I found this, and I put it on social media today. This is another moment in the same show. This is the kind of shenanigans that these people have had to put up with me for the last, 22 years of being in the country. This is a moment during Beauty and the Beast, the last time Neptune did it. This is what goes on backstage. I'd just been told that the word shameless in this scene should cut off because it was clashing with the music and was going on too long, and it was not a moment that I needed to be in anymore once I'd said the word shameless. See how I took it. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't understand what could possibly be wrong with that.
I mean, if you throw a fellow out over your shoulders and throw him out on the street in the snow, so there's that.
Oh, there is that. One of my favorite moments, and one of the moments that I think shows that I love stage managers and what they do. Hannah is referring to the show Rexy. Am I correct?
Oh, I love this picture.
Yeah. So there was a major snowstorm
Chris
in
Webber.
Halifax, and Christopher Webber was the stage manager, and I was calling him saying, "The show's cancelled, right? The show. I mean, we're not doing. There's 14 people in the audience. We can't do it." I was complaining because that's what I do occasionally, and he was determined that I should get there. And so in the end, we posed for that photo at the bottom on the street in the snow, and parodied that famous Lord of the Rings moment. Quite proud of that. So okay, let's now talk about your Catherine McCormack.
Miss you, Kat.
All right, it's Baroque all over again.
Triple take.
Wow, that was a triple take. Yes, you're right, Kat. I will shut up now. I just wanted to make sure I got those stories in to exhibit. I was putting myself as the actor that causes problems for these people. Your most loving, favorite memory of a show at Neptune. What is the moment where you went, yes, this is it?
Oh.
I have one.
That's different for me. Like that I wanted to do it as a stage manager, or like
No, the moment where you just went, when you were watching a moment in a show that you were working on.
That I was working on.
And that you were working on. You just looked at it and went, I'm so happy with this moment, whether it be in the show or your life. And, what show really meant something to you? What moment meant something to you? That was a long question. Hannah, do you have one?
I do, yeah. It's actually 2 moments from different shows, but it's for the same reasons. Mary Poppins, when she flew, and in Cinderella, when the carriage appeared.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Both of them, the reaction from the audience every single time, it was audible and they were excited, and it was the magic of it all. And that's why we do it. That's why we go through all of the craziness that we go through. It's to make that magic happen on stage so we can hear those, the kids and the adults in the audience, just ooh and ah about those things. So yeah, those 2 moments for me will always have fond memories.
Yeah. They were great moments. Anyone else? Go, Alison.
My first show at Neptune was Cinderella. And for me, the end of Act 1, when you have the carriage going up and you have pyro everywhere, and you have Sam, who's one of my favorite people ever, just singing amazing things. It was not only my first time working with pyro, but it was my first time working with that many people backstage, and it felt like such a collective effort to get that to happen. So the first time it happened and all the pyro happened, and that was all amazing. But also that was when my mom came and stopped mentioning law school.
Oh, yay.
That was a big deal.
I mean, you should have gone to law school, but yay.
Mom?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No, I remember those moments so well. June, do you have one?
It's not so much a moment, but I think Hannah really hit the nail on the head. It's when you get that audience reaction. Mm-hmm. First one for me was I did camp, and that show just is one of my favorite. Will always be one of my favorite experiences. But at the end, when Sean Wright comes out in this gorgeous gown and this wonderful feather headdress, and the audience you could hear the sob. That every night would make me cry, and I loved it.
Oh.
Such a good show.
That was a great moment.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share one? So many, I'm sure.
So many.
Yeah.
Heather Lewis, let me just cut in, and at the risk of incurring the wrath of Catherine McCormick, one thing I've taken to doing when you and I work together is if it's an emotional scene or an emotional moment in a show, I sit next to you, and then I look at you, and then I realize that we're both sobbing together.
Yep.
Yeah. That
has happened repeatedly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I cry a lot. I don't hide that. I get very emotional watching shows. Yeah. It's so hard to have a moment because I made a list today. I went back to try and remember how many shows I've done and how many shows I've been part of in a stage management capacity. So I'm actually counting Blood Brothers and Rumors, even though that doesn't really count for me, but
it counts.
It does.
It really does.
And it's where we met, so it was important to count. I've done 76 shows, and 52 of them have been at Neptune Theatre. Wow. And all but 6 of them were full Neptune productions. 6 of them were co-pros at Neptune with other companies. And it's really hard to nail down a moment like that. Like a bunch come to me. Of course, honestly, the carriage reveal was the first thing I thought of. The gasp, the dress and the carriage, like in Cinderella. Just those gasps from the audience would be like, yes, when certain things happen that are like bang on. Forgive me. I know Heather McGregor is out there. There's a moment in the last 5 years, because that is the most recent show I've done, that it would just be like, yes, like when you just get it, or this moment is just right. It's like the littlest things sometimes, because you've been there from the beginning. You've been there all through rehearsals. You've watched the actors work and struggle and fight sometimes, or just magically get it sometimes, work so hard. And then there are those moments that they've always been going for and get in rehearsal, and then it goes away a bit and it comes back. Or sometimes it's like consistent every single time, but there are always those moments. And that's what made me want to be a stage manager was I love being part of it for the whole process, beginning to end, and getting to be there for the journey of the show, because the shows they take a journey. They're not, as much as it's our job to maintain the director's vision and to try our darndest to keep it on track from opening night to closing night, they develop and they breathe and they change a little bit here and there. And some things are for the better because they're still finding it, and sometimes they aren't. But those moments for me, like, I don't have a great one to just be like, it was that, but
yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
And no one's mentioned the show, and I wasn't on it as a stage manager, but as a sound designer. The first time The Color Purple sang The Color Purple, the ending song in the rehearsal hall, Heather and I we were sobbing. It will always be so good.
Yeah. You've shared some emotional times together, good and bad, the five of you. And, there will be more to come, right? We will get back there.
Yeah.
I keep saying it this week for some reason. This industry has been apparently dying for 5,000 years or more. This is going to take more than COVID-19. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a while, but we will get there.
We're clever and creative people.
Right?
Yeah.
Also, I just wanted to show these.
Remember your stage managers when you do your online things.
Exactly, right? We need a stage manager. I do want to just bring up a few photos because I just wanted to show that, I noticed that we're all wearing black tonight. I wore it in honor of stage managers who traditionally wear black, just to, I'm assuming, like crew, just to sort of be more in the shadows. Do you wear black in the booth as well when you're calling a show?
Yeah, because your reflection, if you're not wearing black, your reflection gets in the way of what you can see.
Oh, through the glass.
Especially in the studio.
Yeah.
In the Neptune studio booth.
Yeah.
The Scotiabank stage.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. But I want to show these photos because, we then let you out of the rehearsal hall on opening night, and suddenly we see the real you, not the person in black t-shirt and black jeans or whatever, and we all get dressed up on opening night. So there's a few opening photos here. I just wanted to fly through a few memories here. And look, the late, great, wonderful Victor Young, who just passed away very recently, on the on the left of that photo. Marty Meriden there as the director. What a great group. And here's another one. Can't really, everyone's a bit smaller than that one. So let's go a little closer. Let's look at some stage management. I dug up some pictures from the internet.
Oh, you really did dig up some pictures. That was our first show together, June.
Yes, it was. That was my first show.
Sorry, it's a little pixelated. I literally grabbed these off the internet. And then we're over on the Scotiabank stage. Hannah, what show is that?
That's Low or Dear Mr. Wells.
Which you did an amazing job on. And who's that with you?
Well, there's a Jeremy Webb there.
Yeah.
Beside Amanda Cutting, who was our intimacy director, and Valentina, who was the director of the show.
I just saw Amanda Cutting in Edmonton just a few months ago. It was lovely to see her. Now we're getting to it. Oh, yes.
Sarah.
We're now color coordinating. And there was Sarah Richardson, who was not a stage manager on that show, but she was part of the team. See, there's probably photos of all of you in various different configurations, right?
Yeah. Oh.
And I gotta say, this one makes me a little sad.
Yeah.
Because this is the last opening night photo that we had at Neptune Theatre for the next little while. And those photos are actually all on the Neptune Facebook page. Check them out, and you can see the cast and the crew celebrating opening night before this all went down. About a week or so, we got 12 performances in, I think, didn't we?
Yes, 12.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, we are so over time. I can't believe it. I'm so naughty. But then again, you know what? The internet's free and people are still watching. And it's been lovely to have all 5 of you here. If any of you plan to go out for supper tonight, oh, wait, we can't. Sorry, your reservation has been dropped. Thank you to the 5 of you. I probably incurred some equity penalties for overrunning.
Just some additional duties.
Some additional duties. Yeah, because you all used your own computer.
Yeah.
What's that? An extra $30, probably?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's negotiable. Is it negotiable?
All the times.
Yeah. But the good news is that you're still well within the call of the day, because we only started an hour ago. So I'd like you to stay in the green room for about another 7 hours. And then as I leave the studio later with my coat and my hat, I'll walk past you all and make the mistake of engaging with you, where you will then start asking me questions as I'm trying to get home to my family.
So just a normal day.
Just a normal day between you and I. It's been lovely to have you here. Sit tight. I'm just going to wrap up the show and tell people what's coming up next for Off the Leash. Tomorrow is going to be a fun night. We have a whole collection of actors. A peal of bells. Huh? See what it is there?
Very nice.
I just made that up on the spot. A peal of bells. Vanessa Sears, Julie Martell, Ellen Denny, and Karen Coughlin-Milo. 2 of those actors have played Belle at Neptune. And then joining them, I can now reveal, we have this little video clip is 5 seconds long, but it's silent. So don't panic, everyone. There's no sound to be missing. But we have a whole collection of bells joining us through the course of tomorrow evening. I'm very excited. And then on Friday, the last show of this week, we have Shelley Thompson, Ed Thomason, and T. Thomason, who are a family. And they're, of course, in isolation together, and they're still being creative. And I want to apologize to Shelley for the Off the Leash logo, acting like a Phantom of the Opera mask up there. But anyway, there we go. Thanks to my guests for being here tonight. And if the guests just sit exactly where you are, don't go anywhere. No matter what the software tells you, I'm going to play us all out now. Have a great evening. Thanks for watching, everyone. And support Neptune Theatre and all your arts organizations if and when you can.